Welcome back to another episode of Beauty Aside. I'm your host, Jentri Quinn. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I am usually giving tips to women over 40, but guess what? In my practice, I treat a lot of teens because the moms come in and often the teens are having trouble with their skin. So today I have a special episode for you today. It's going to be centered around solutions that are catered to teens. Yes, some of these can be beneficial to both moms and teens alike, but if you have a teen or you know a teen that is having challenges with their skin, this is for you. Now, what I've found is that a lot of the teens will start using things. They will jump on, the trendy wagons, which I totally understand. I totally get it. But what happens is they're using so many different products. And if you ask them, well, that's a cool product. What's in it? Why are you using it? The likelihood of it is they're not going to be able to tell you why. It's because they saw an influencer, they read about it somewhere, probably saw a video. Let's be real. They probably saw an influencer or saw a viral video and thought, this must be the cure-all for whatever it is. Mom, can I have your card? I need to order this on Amazon. That's usually how that goes, right? But what happens is they end up not just wasting time and your money probably, but they end up causing more issues than before they started because they'll use products that will either do one of the two things. They'll either dry out their skin and therefore they're compromising their skin barrier even more and making it worse, or they're just completely wasting money. So these are very general recommendations based on my many years as a seasoned beauty professional and a licensed esthetician. It all starts with the cleansing of the skin. And what I've noticed is that a lot of teens, and especially boys, they're going to give it minimal effort, and it's not because they don't care, but when you're a teen and you have so many different priorities, it's not going to be like us women over 40 that are, becoming very disciplined with our skincare results and understand what we did in our 20s isn't going to still work for us in our 40s and all of that. The wisdom is not attached to that. And honestly, it shouldn't be. They should be playing the sports and doing all of those things. But with the sweat and with that lack of discipline often comes, a disruption with the skin barrier, some additional breakouts. Of course, we know in large part that has to do with hormones. So I don't want to let that go untouched. A very large majority of skin issues, very large, are going to be hormonal disruptions that we cannot get around. But this is the thing, about 50% of your skin has to do with genetics, maybe even more. But there is a very large percentage that has to do with epigenetics, which has to do with how our lifestyles are influencing our genes, our cells. If you are looking for something for your teen, make sure that it is gentle. I will put a link down below to things that I'm referencing today. But today, it's not about brand names. It's just about recommendation on how to best serve your team so that they can have a better opportunity to have a better, experience with their skin. Okay. With salicylic acid can also be helpful. I would recommend doing that as a first cleanse, especially if you're a guy and you're sweaty, or even if you're a girl and you play a lot of sports. But just make sure that it's a gentle cleanser with salicylic acid, and then you can follow it up with another gentle, calming type of cleanser. Start simple, right? Give them things that they can easily do, and let's build upon that. Maybe just doing that one thing at a time. Let's not lay all of these tips on our teens at once, because normally that doesn't go over very well. And not because they're not well intended, just because, as I said, they have other things on their mind. Do a double cleanse at night. A cloth is even a great way to cleanse the skin. If you're doing a double cleanse and you want a little extra gentle exfoliation, using something like the flannel or the microfiber, those types of washcloths can be very effective. But whenever we wake up, a little bonus tip, we're not going to cleanse again with a cleanser. We're just going to rinse with warm water, okay? And then we're going to do a couple of spritzes of hypochlorous acid, and we're going to move on. And if they're using an SPF very specifically, you may want to use for a water-based or gel-based type of sunscreen that's not going to contribute to any of their issues that they're having with acne. Now, another thing that I've found really helpful are the pimple patches, which are everywhere, right? I can give you my favorite brands, and I will list a couple of them underneath my YouTube video for you. But what I've noticed is that the biggest contributing factor, besides the fact that it covers the pimple and so that keeps it moist, and this is the theory behind why they actually work. It keeps it moist and it expedites the healing process, right? It's kind of like if you have a cut or a scrape and then you're putting, Aquifer, something over it, Vaseline, whatever. And because of that occlusive agent, it's trapping in the moisture, so it's healing and you're not getting those gnarly scabs that can be scarring, okay? So the pimple patches, in theory, that is what they do. Some of them include certain types of medications. You might hear them say, oh, this one includes tea tree or salicylic acid, something like that. I would say just, if you are a little bit confused about which one to get, just get the basic one that doesn't have any extras in it. You don't need that, because the best part about the pimple patches are that they keep your hands off of them, okay? And because, though, the teens may fly through these because they're really effective and they kind of cover up the thing and they take your mind off of it, which is, in my opinion, really good for mental health as well. Because of that, they may fly through them, which is why I'm going to give you some recommendations on the most affordable and effective ones that I personally have found. Now, these are just starting tips. There are other things that, like blue lights, that can be really effective for helping heal acneic skin. I've also seen really good results with some lasers, some laser treatments in conjunction with having a teen see someone like myself, an esthetician. And what I have noticed in my 25 years of being in the beauty industry, is that something that's never changed is that, if you're already having, this is really the secret. It's not about this something being bad for everyone, but if you are already having inflammation, then there are certain foods that may make your condition worse. Does that make sense? So in other words, if there's 10 people in the room, we can't make a blanket statement and say dairy is bad for you, because that's not a true full-bodied statement. But if you are having inflammation that's affecting your skin, then it may be worthwhile to back off of the dairy, because there have been so many studies that have suggested that dairy can trigger the inflammation, which can make your skin condition worse. It may be worth backing off of it just for a couple of weeks. I would say within a couple of weeks, you'll be able to figure out if that particular thing is a culprit, if it's causing you issues. So dairy is a really big one. Sugar is inflammatory. If you are, I dare to say the word abusing. I am the worst sugar addict in the world. I have to deliberately and consciously work on limiting my sugar consumption every single day. So I am very active in doing so, but I totally get it. And no, I don't think that just consuming a cookie with sugar in it is going to cause you skin issues. But again, if we're dealing with a lot of skin issues, if we're having, things that are affecting our immune system, then definitely the consumption of sugar wouldn't help us, right? It would only make it worse. So that is just something I'm gonna leave a little with you, food for thought, if you will, for you to make the best decisions for yourself. And I will say, one thing that I found to be really helpful, especially if you are trying to help out your teen, and even for us adults, sometimes whenever we get information and it's too much, it's too overwhelming, we tend to get a little paralyzed and then we won't do anything. Well, imagine a teen that has all of those hormones that are like bursting into the scene. Imagine how they feel. Or let's not imagine, let's try to remember, because we were all there once. It's just really easy to forget, right? It's really easy for them to get overwhelmed and for the information to not stick. So what I would recommend is introducing one thing at a time, or maybe cutting back one thing at a time. But sometimes I think introducing one thing at a time is often easier on, at least with the psychology of things, right? Because we're not taking away something where we're, as the kids say, where there's that FOMO, right? So we're just introducing one good habit, one good thing. We're suggesting that. Maybe we're leading by example. Maybe we're doing it, because sometimes words just aren't as effective. Sometimes, your teen may want to do what mom is doing. There's always that too. That's happened in my family. So you definitely can lead by example. And I think that is a great way to suggest a healthier routine for your teen. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Make sure and like and subscribe to my channel and set that notification bell. The more you know, the more you glow. Ciao for now.